Hi, I'm Kyle Green with the Greenway Outdoors, and today I'm in beautiful Auburn Hills, Michigan at Bass Pro Shops in the archery range to teach you how to sight in your compound bow. And I'm going to teach you on my PSC Stealth Mach 1. Let's get started. First thing you're going to need to know is where your sight adjustments are. I'm using a Black Mountain sight. Therefore, mine are in dials, but a lot of them do require Allen wrenches. So just depending, kind of use that logic when you're doing it. So to start, you can actually adjust how close your sight is to you. So this is your forward and backward for that. Now what you'll notice is, as you move your sight farther away from you in your view, the more drastic your adjustments are going to be. So keep that in mind. But what your goal is to be able to pull the bow back, look through your peep sight, and that peep sight should line up perfectly with your sight. So that's the step one, is how far that should be. That should be done at your archery range when you get your bow set up in the first place, but it isn't always done, which is why we make these videos. The next dial is your elevation. So that's what makes it go up and down. So we'd spin this, and then to move it up, you'd slide it this way, and then back that way for down. Next step is your windage. So you're gonna loosen up this guy right here, and then you'll be able to move left to right by spinning this dial there. Next, you'll see the 4-pin adjustments. Now keep this in mind. When you're shooting your bow and sighting it into different yardages, depending on how much poundage you have on your bow, depending on what your draw length is, all those factors indicate the fact that you might have a different space between each individual sight, which is why you can adjust those individually. Even on mine, you are going to need an Allen wrench for that. All right, let's get started. Now what we're going to do is start by taking a 20-yard shot, which is typically your closest pin, which is your top pin. So your top pin is normally 20, your second pin is normally 30, the next one down from there will be your 40, and the last one below that one will be your 50. Let's fire the first shot. So with my arrow, I was a little bit low, so I have to adjust the elevation. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to start by undoing this, and now it says to raise it up, I spin it to the left, to lower it, I lower it to the right. Now because I aimed low, believe it or not, again, I want to chase that arrow down, meaning I'm going to lower my sights. What that will do is if my sights are lower, it forces me to lift my bow up more, which adjusts to fix hitting low and get higher. So I'm going to move it just a smidge down to have that help me hit higher. All right, let's grab that arrow, fire another one to see how it looks. Looking at this right here, it is dead on. So my 20-yard pin is set and ready to go. Now this does not mean automatically that my 30, 40, and 50 are ready to go. We're going to have to adjust those following the exact same principles for our elevation up and down. So for your second pin, we're going to adjust that using an Allen wrench. You're going to move that up or down following the same principles. Again, your windage should already be correct, because no matter how far back you go, you should still be dead center. So you're going to follow those same principles. If you are hitting high, then you're going to move that pin up. If you are hitting low, you're going to move that pin down. And that's how you're going to adjust it until you get it right at each and every level. Now going one step further than that, something I have found with a lot of people is they think if they are in a 5-yard shot situation, the deer or turkey walk right in front of you. What do you do in that case? Most people would think, well, I'll use my top pin because it's my closest target. But I think what you might find is your result with that are not going to be good. Let's take a look at what happens when I shoot my 20-yard pin at 5 yards. And this is exactly what I anticipated. What you see here is I hit very, very low. Now this kind of goes against all logic. I'm closer, therefore I should use a higher pin. But in the situation of this, take a look at my bow, and you look at the distance from where the rest is, where the arrow sits, and where the actual sight is. That distance right there has to be made up in the flight of the arrow. As Ted Nugent would say, the mystical flight of the arrow. Well, in this situation, you would think of it just like a bullet. The arrow goes up and then comes down. Now the sight has to account for that arc. Because we're shooting in those close quarters, we're not giving the arrow the time it needs to rise and catch up to where the sight is. Therefore, we're hitting very low. Now this distance here could be the difference between a dead turkey and a hurt turkey, or a complete miss if you end up shooting over the back because of it. So this is good information to know, especially if you're right over a deer in a tree stand or something like that as well. So now I'm going to try and use my third pin. the third one down, which is normally, as you know, my 40-yard pin. And I'm gonna use that at 5 yards in order to see what it looks like. Okay, and as you see here, that's a perfect dead-on bullseye shot. And I was using my 40-yard pin. So what does this mean? It means that when you're out hunting and when you're practicing with your bow, you need to assess what your pins look like at 5, 10, 15, and 20 yards. Also, a rangefinder is very important when archery hunting. You can't always get it out and peg exactly where the deer is, but when you go in your tree stand, go and look at landmarks. Figure out the yardage on all those different landmarks. That way, when a deer comes in and he's next to one of them or comes in through, you know roughly the distance so you can account for that, because with these modern bows, they're so incredibly fast. You may be in a situation where at 5 yards, you're using your third pin, 10 yards, you're using your second pin, 20 yards, you're using your top pin, and then 20, 30, 40, 50 from there. You need to know all this, especially with archery hunting. I'm Kyle Green. Thanks so much for checking out our video. Stay green.
Thank you for watching this how-to video, which is part of the Greenway Outdoors Outdoor Education Series. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more outdoor education content. Also, check out the Greenway Outdoors podcast, Huntcast, and official TV show. Visit thegreenwayoutdoors.com for more information.